Hi everyone, welcome to the Mums on Cloud Nine podcast. We are delighted to be bringing you a new series of the podcast, Series 7, and I am delighted to have new co-hosts with me on this series. So I'm Heather Black, I've got Lynn and Kelly, and we're going to share a little bit more about ourselves and our backgrounds and what we're going to be talking about on this next series. So Lynn, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to join Series 7 of the podcast, of course. I am a proud mum of two grown-up children, and I have three adorable granddaughters who make me smile every single day. I love what I do at Supermums, and I absolutely enjoy my family life and, making new connections within Supermums as well.
Oh, man, that's brilliant. And I just love that you all live in a house together as well. You're like one big family. I think every mum's dream, maybe in some ways, is that the little ones never fly the nest. So I'm delighted to have you here. Kelly, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kelly. I live in North Essex and I have four stepchildren and a baby, IVF baby, who's two. And I've worked in Supermums for just over a year now. My background is related to mostly education, training, employment. And I think for me, one of my biggest passions is helping people develop and grow and reach their goals, but also traveling. I'm obsessed with traveling and seeing the world. So I try and squeeze in as many holidays as possible. But yeah, that's a bit about me. Thank you for having us here.
Oh, it's great. And I think we're all from at different ends of the spectrum of parenting to some degree, aren't we? So my kids are 8 and 12. I sometimes have to check what age they are because I can't remember. Is that a good or a bad thing as a mum? And I live in Hastings. I'm a single parent now, got divorced 4 years ago. And so what we want to bring you on this podcast is the diversity of people in different, we're all coming from this with different perspectives. We'll talk about some of our own experiences on each podcast with the expert that we've got on, and just really want to help you feel empowered, inspired and encouraged to, as say, carve out that career in life you love. So I'm actually delighted because I think Kelly and Lynn and I all bring very different perspectives and thoughts and experiences to the table, and you'll be hearing more about that during the course of the podcast shows. Now, one of the things that underpins really the podcast series going forward is what I call the ambitious women mindset. And I curated this sort of, I suppose, what do we call it, concept, because I'd been through a process of, getting burnt out, feeling at the bottom and going, oh my God, like, how do I move forward? I'm not happy anymore. When my coach said to me, what's the word that you want to achieve? It's happiness. And what was ironic is I'd had this poster or image on my kitchen wall that stared at me every day saying that happiness is a way of life, not a destination. And it was quite ironic, right, that I've got that staring at me every day in the kitchen. And I was saying to this coach, is I've got to be happier. Like, I'm not waking up, I haven't got my mojo, I'm not motivated, I'm not inspired, I'm not excited. And so I spent £9,000 on this coaching program. I was literally that thing. And I didn't have the money. I got a bank loan out. I'll be completely frank. But I was like, I need to change my shit, quite frankly. Like, I need to invest. And it was a coach that specialized in corporate burnout. But I have to say it was the best investment I made because I shifted so many things through that coaching program. And the things that stood out to me from that, I mean, I'm a coach, I have a coach background, but you can't coach yourself when you're in the mud, right?
Yeah.
You have to somebody has to pull you out of the mud and you have to work with somebody on it. And that's what we want to provide for you on this show, and also the expert advice that we have on our website at mumsoncloud9.co.uk. We have that raft of support if you need it. But the key things that stand out to me and what really encompasses the ambitious women mindset is goals, making sure you've got clear goals and you're keeping accountability around those. Energy, how do you make sure your energy is high to get through all the shitty days and obviously feel like you're happy and on a high. Relationships, it's about having the right people around you, supporting you, lifting you up and empowering you is super important. It's about boundaries, knowing when to say no, and also how to put your boundaries into place, what to do about that. It's about confidence in yourself and how do you instill that and build it up, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So how do you keep working on that? And then the final thing is about impact. An impact could be something grandeur, and I say grandeur, actually, it's not really, but it could be about making a difference in the environment or helping people. Or it could be the impact that you're just making to your kids every day, about making sure they're happy and you're supporting them. And so it's about how you're impacting people in your life or around you in different ways. And these are the 6 things that really stood out to me about my journey and about making me happy. And there's lots of things that we're going to be talking about over these podcast series that really just touch on all these areas. It underpins everything we're going to be talking about. But before, we're going to do a different podcast episode on each of these areas, and I say ourselves talking about it, Kelly, Lynn and I, but also we've got a series of guest experts. But for this episode, I'd just like to really explore what the ambitious women mindset even means, and obviously to look at it from different perspectives. And obviously, I can share my perspective, but I'd just like to throw it out to Kelly first. When you talk about ambition to you, Kelly, what does it mean to you?
So ambition for me, and I have it in 2 separate ways. So ambition for me, I'll see it personally for myself, but I'll also see it, me and my husband come as a package. So as a joint partnership, I need to make sure that my ambitions align with our goals. And I'm very lucky in a sense where our goals match. Otherwise, it wouldn't work so well. We couldn't be doing our separate things. So I have my ambitions in my career, what I'm doing, how I want to work, who I want to work with. Those are the ambitions that I have, and I'm in a place where I'm comfortable with that because I'm getting to work and help people every day, so that's fine. Again, having the ambitions with my husband, making sure that we get to book the holidays that we have, or save up for the dream house in Turkey that we want to do. Having those ambitions and goals, and again, goals and ambitions don't have to be grandiose or anything elaborate. It's just having clear aspirations that you want to set pathways to and work towards them. So it's just really, for me, it's about where do I want to be, what's the next steps to getting closer to where I want to be. So yeah, I just think for me it just means that I've got places I want to go and I'm not stagnating. But again, it is also okay to be happy and content with what you've got. But for me, I do like to have steps and places to move towards.
I love that. And I think I love how you guys work together as a team, and I love the goals that you have. You've always been very clear about your goals, how we talk
Very
at
clear.
work. And it's really great that you've got that, because that's what makes you wake up every day and kind of want to get up and do stuff and make things happen. Like, there's our underlining goals. So we're definitely going to be digging into goals with you, because I think that's one of your driving forces,
Yeah,
right, from that
definitely.
point of
Yeah.
view. So I love that. Thank you. Lynn, what about you? What does ambition mean for you?
So I suppose, I mean, obviously everything that Kelly said and you've said that, that resonates, of course, across the board, I'm sure. But, when you think about not necessarily in the traditional sense, as Kelly said, it's not just about climbing a ladder and having, ambitions within your work environment, although that's, of course, very important. I think it's all about staying true to your purpose. It's all about, ambitions to me is showing up and having the courage to show up, and having that, even if it gets a bit messy along the way, it's all about having an end goal to aim for, because, they always say if you don't have that goal, you'll never actually get there. So I think it's really important to have goals and ambitions in life, for sure.
That's a good point, actually. Sorry, Heather. I just wanted to say what Lynn just said really resonates with me, is that making sure you've got a goal. If you don't set any goals, then where are you going to move towards? Where are you walking to? So I think that's very important to have those goals laid out, and and you can build from that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, going back to your point, Kelly, also, I think the goal could be just to make a few shifts initially. Like for me, when I had, it was like, oh my God, just got to be happy. Like I didn't even know what the goals were at that point. Like, it's unpacking that sometimes, isn't it? Like, why
okay.
have I got no mojo? Yeah, exactly. So like that ambition could be about just shifting, like starting to unpack. And actually, if you don't have anything to feel ambitious about or goals, that's the first thing to do some work on. And it's interesting at Christmas, talking about ambition. It's like every year at Christmas time, I kind of encourage everybody in our Supermums community and in our team to set goals. And I'm sat there going, what are my goals for this year? And I'm like, sort of going, I've got to find my mojo. Like, what is it? And it's funny how, like, this opportunity came up on LinkedIn to speak at this event in Vancouver. And I was like, Vancouver, that's one place that I've always wanted to go. And I'd forgotten it was on my bucket list, It was kind of like something I thought about quite a few times, but it, wasn't on my radar at Christmas until this speaker opportunity came up. And I was like, oh, that's my ambition for this year. I'm going to go to Vancouver for a week. I'm going to speak at this event. And it all came true. And I went to Vancouver last week. And so that then created my mojo. And the thing is, we might not always know what these things are, and we've got to do a bit of work around it. But your ambition could be as small as, pivoting a few things. It could be about getting a new job. It could be about shifting something significant. It could be about buying a house in Turkey, right, Kelly?
Yeah, 100%. I'm getting closer every day.
So we're all coughing now. It means something different to all of us. And I think at different points in our life, it's gonna, we have to keep evaluating it. But I think once a year, at the beginning of every year, that's the time to really, and if you haven't got the goals now, spend some time doing it now. Start to really get granular with that. And I have to say, hand on heart, normally I've had to work with a coach to do it, or we've kept each other accountable as a team, haven't we? Because we've shared as a team what our goals are. And I think if you're sat at home by yourself and you've got nobody to be accountable, it can be harder to do some of this stuff. So do it with somebody, get a coach if you need it. We have great coaches at Mums on Cloud 9. Work with somebody if you can't motivate yourself, because where you don't want to be, and if this is you right now, you don't want to be waking up every morning feeling flat, because that is not a nice place to be. And I've been there, right? And it's not a life that is going to be the one that you love, right? It's not going to give you that step. So we want to ignite that within you. We want you to get clear on your ambition. We'd love for you to share and comment, give us a review after this podcast, share on the comments what your ambition is and what you'd like to choose, or if you're going to do some work on it, tell us. Join the community. We've got a community at Mums on Cloud 9. Get involved in the community. We'll create some of that accountability for you as well. So we want you to get involved. And this then leads me quite nice onto the mindset. How do we work on our mindset? Because I trained as a coach back in 2006. I then ran a coaching business for 8 years because it was incredibly powerful. I was like, oh my God, everybody needs to have coaching in their life. Like, how do we live without coaching? And, not everybody's obviously gone to that extent of training as a coach and running a coaching business, but it's interesting, like, how do we work on our mindset? Because I think it's really important that we take the steps. So me inviting you to be part of Mums on Cloud 9, inviting you to be part of the community, I'm inviting you to start working on mindset and to make some shifts. You can choose to do it with us, without us, whatever you want, but we're here if you want us to support us, because sometimes you need that support. We've got some expert advisors who can help you overcome some of your challenges, and we want to be here for you. But in terms of mindset, Kelly, back over to you. How have you worked on your mindset over the years? What ways have you sort of shifted when you felt flat or you felt down? You've certainly gone through a lot of challenges, I know, in your life too. How do you keep working on yourself and keeping that excitement, I suppose?
To be honest, it's only really this year that I've really did a big shift in my mindset. I have struggled with so much, I say drama for lack of a better word, and difficulties. And I think at some point I was at breaking point where I couldn't do it anymore. But I think, and I masked it well. I did a lot of very, very tactical masking so that, I wasn't crying in public or breaking down. So this year, what I've decided to do is to really work on cleansing that negative energy, cleansing my head. My head's very full all the time. I've probably got overactive brain or hyperactivity, I don't know, but I can never stop thinking. So I've started working on yoga. So I've rented a guy in India who actually is a 10-year trade yogi who's in India from a yoga school, and I'm going to start my 5 a.m. next week sessions doing Kundalini yoga. So I'm training in that. I've also, and I did it today. Every year on the 8th of May, I always write a manifest list. I don't know why the date, it's just been a thing. And my last year's manifest list, I just posted it in a mailbox, just wrote it to the universe and posted it in a regular Royal Mail mailbox. Put it out there. Basically is how I put my vibes out there. So I did my Santa manifest list last year, and everything on that list came true. As of by the 8th of May this year. So I've written my next one, and I'm just going to post it in a mailbox, to the universe. And I'm putting it out there. Yeah, you're putting it out there. So that always gives me positivity, because I write down, and again, it's if you don't know what your goals are, you write down what you want, and they can turn into goals, because you think, well, I want to, I don't know, be a happier person, be more productive instead of watching Netflix at the weekend, and do certain things. And I write down the things I want, things about my child that I want for him, and things for my husband I want. And that really gives me that boost to say, you know what, if these are the things I want, saying it out loud makes it real, then I can start. The manifesting's not about waiting for magic. It's about putting things into perspective so that you can work on the things. And yes, some things happen naturally, but it's not about waiting for the universe to grant you wishes. It's about putting things on paper so that you start doing actions and then making your kind of wishes come true. So yeah, it's just cleansing my thoughts. A lot of meditation at the moment and listening to like frequency music. So it's improving a lot. It's improving.
And you
my
did
mindset.
invite work colleagues to join you on the yoga at 5 o'clock. I'm not sure how many of us took it up. To be fair. I'm not a 5 a.m. person.
No, I'm not.
I love that you shared it. Thank you.
Well, you know what? It's my Susan said she would like to, but I said I'll learn it and then I'll teach everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be funny.
Susan be up for that. Yeah, she's an early bird and into yoga. I've met Susan on a yoga retreat.
I know. Yeah, you guys should have been up for a bit of So we'll see.
5 a.m. club. Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah. Yoga. Susan and I met on a yoga retreat, and it was my 40th birthday, and they all had like a 40th birthday party for me. So cute. But, yeah. So no, she should be definitely up for that. But no, getting sidetracked. But no, it's brilliant. I mean, it's great. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing. And I think it's never too late to start working on some of this stuff and being more self-aware and making those commitments. Really, really important. So, Lynn, what about you? What have you done on your mind?
Yeah, I suppose from again, everything we say resonates for sure. But I mean, I can't say I'll be doing anything at 5 a.m. or posting myself a letter, but I do love the idea.
Post you a letter.
I'll post you one, don't worry.
I suppose, it's all the topics do align, with the ambitious women's mindset in terms of the goals. I mean, you set a goal for a goal. And your mindset does keep changing. So it might be that I think you've got to not be afraid to change your goals throughout the year. So although you might have something set, and that's, with you, Heather, you just said about going to Vancouver, that wasn't set at Christmas, although it was in your mind as being on your bucket list. And obviously things evolve. Sometimes you might have a plan to travel, and then of course you might not know where you want to travel, but throughout the year, things will change, and you've got to be not afraid to change with your goals and your aspirations and your mindset, because I think that's so important, that if something in your life changes, then you change with it. You've got to not be afraid to do that, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. And I think, going back to what Kelly said, it's about things that you start to do that can lift your mindset as well. We talk about elevating your mindset, and you can also, part of the podcast will be about how do we elevate this mindset? How do we get to that cloud, right? How do we get up there? Yeah. And one of the things I think really stands out for me about the mindset is energy. So when I spent that money on the coaching, one of the biggest things that shifted for me was basically not being able to I wasn't exercising regularly. And I wanted to, paid the gym a lot of money and didn't go, as I'm sure many other people might resonate with that. It's rather painful thinking about how much I pay for a swim these days. You think about 4 years of paying and not going. Anyway, breathe. It's fine. It's like $1,000 a swim or something.
Oh my God.
But I don't know. But so I'm just not going to calculate it. Kelly, do not calculate it.
I'll try not to. I'm struggling, so I'll try not. I will.
Yeah, so now I go for a swim. I'm like, this swim is costing me £200. But I didn't go, and it was so annoying because I really wanted to go. Couldn't go. Anyway, during this coaching program, which was a 9-week program, something really shifted for me. And the thing is, I used to be really into the gym and going before I started a business initially. So it's running a business that rewired that. But I managed to get myself going again. And I, was then taking myself to the gym and swimming 4 times a week. It was like something had switched a light. But the thing that made a difference there was, I talk about energy levels and making sure that you are in an energy level that's between 7 and 10. Like if you were to think about your scale of 0 to 10 and how energized you feel, you want to be doing activities that put you in that 7 to 10 most of the time. Because if you're living in that space, when things hit the fan for a day, which they will, right? Let's be realistic. We all have those days when things go wrong or they don't go quite right. If we're living in that 7 to 10, we will come down to possibly a 2 or 3 or maybe a 0 if it's a really bad day. And, we're going to sit there, but it's so much easier to bounce back if our energy is normally high. We will bounce back. We'll have that down day, but we won't stay there. And going and exercising for me gives me, if I go swimming and I go on my Peloton bike, which I bought, I will sit really well in that 7 to 10 because that's where I get my buzz. So I think for me, mindset was about exercising again. It was about feeling good, feeling confident myself, feeling fit, and that, interestingly enough, and it's also the endorphins that I get from exercise. And so it's finding your thing that gives you the energy. It could be reading, it could be meditation, it could be yoga. I think with mindset, it's working on what is going to help make those little shifts that make everything else then easier and better for you and help you be more resilient. And the whole thing about the ambitious mindset is about becoming more resilient, being able to weather the highs and lows, being able to face the fears that Lynn said, being optimistic about achieving those bigger goals and waking up every day with the vision of a bigger goals and achieving that manifest list that Kelly's talked about. Because the reality is we won't achieve that if we don't believe in ourselves and we don't have the energy to do it. So everything starts with our energy levels, I believe, to some degree. You want your goals, absolutely, but the next layer is like, well, actually, how do I get the energy to do this and wake up every day? And if you're waking up feeling tired, feeling sluggish, and everything else, then you want to be listening to our episode of our podcast. It's all about energy and about working out what it is that you need to tweak those levers to get there. So thank you, Lynn and Kelly, for sharing. We're going to share more on these podcasts. Every session there'll be a little bit where you'll get to go a little more glimpse of our lives, and I won't mention how much my swimming costs again. But we will be sharing more with you. But what we want you to achieve is to make these little steps, however small or large. We'd love to hear about them in the show notes in every episode. We'd love to hear about what you're doing, what your takeaway was, what your light bulb moment was, and just to start seeing you really flourish and elevate and being on that cloud 9. That's what we're here to do. So thank you again, guys, for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
And we look forward to sharing the next episodes with you very soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you soon.